Hello everyone, I'm here to present you now my newest and redesigned version of the game Outrun Adventure in the Ocean. This is gonna be the new board of the 2.0 version. It was redesigned and made much different than the previous board. Previous board had a circle going around, and this board will be with little squares. I'll have a little path going around and going to the finish. Or if you decide to play the game multiple runs, you can go around and go in circle, come back around and go around as many times as you'd like. The board itself is redesigned and printed on a hard board, which is going to be a lot more durable. It's much higher quality of the material. It's also possible to be wiped if there's any spills while playing the game, and it's also much larger format. The format is 22 by 28 inches, so allows nice space for the players. As we can see, the rest of the elements kept pretty much the same as the 1.0 version, which was our midterm version. I have little wooden pegs for our players, and we'll go ahead and place them on the board and our departure. Then we have 3 different kinds of cards, which we're going to be setting up on the bottom of the board to start. And then we'll have a new element that's introduced, which I call obstacle, and this is helping also for it's helping the players to add additional skills / strategy, allow them to plan ahead and give more challenges to the other players. This is what I call seaweed, and it's going to be the newest challenge. It's little squares that the players can place on a little square they would like, and each player is allowed to use 5 of those per run. Our old and good known dice, which are pyramid shaped, which we can roll, and it's exactly the same as the previous version. And now I'll try to show you a little play of the game, and hopefully we get a nice turnaround. So in order to determine which player is going to start first, each player rolls the dice. So now we're going to have the blue one rolling the dice, and whoever player gets the highest number will be going first. So the blue player got 2 and 2, that's 4. And now we're gonna roll for the pink player. So we're gonna roll one more time, and the pink player got number, as you can see, number 4 actually, and then number 3, that's 7. So the pink player will be going first. Now throughout the game, when we roll the dice, there will be 2, but the player gets to choose which value of the 2 will use. Can use, let's say, number 2 or use number 1. It's a player's decision, but they will not be combined. They are only combined at the very beginning to determine who's going to start first. Now, as we know who's starting first, we're going to go ahead and start with the pink player. We're going to roll the dice, and this one has 1 and this one has 3. I will decide to go with 3 and move the peg with 3. As we can see, it's 1, 2, 3. So now it's going to be the blues player turn, and we're going to be rolling the dice again. Here we have number 4, and then we have also number 1. Most likely it makes sense to go ahead with number 4, so the blue will go with number 4. It's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And these are the most simple mechanics of the game. Now as we get close to that little red star, these squares with the red stars give the players opportunity to buy a card, which gives them special powers or different abilities. They can set the opponent back with, let's say, 10 squares, and so on and so forth. The cards are presented in our PowerPoint presentations, but in a little later point I will go through all the cards as well towards the end. So now we're gonna roll the dice again to see pink's turn, how far they will go. Here we have 3, and then we have 1. You can also see on the bottom, that's 1 and that's 3. Okay, we're gonna go with 3. Since this is a single run and we just started the game, we can go with 3, which is gonna be 1, 2, 3. We're gonna get on our red star, but since we currently have only 6 points, we will not be able to purchase a red card. Some of the stars and some of the shortcuts are being placed throughout the board in a way that they will help when you play multiple runs of the board. As I explained earlier at the very beginning, the board serves a dual purpose. You can play it as a 1 run, or you can play it as a multiple runs of the game. If you want to have a little longer game and more entertaining, especially with more players, more than 2. Currently I have 4 packs for the board, but I have only 2 on the board. And you can add actually as many players as you'd like to make the game fun and let's say family friendly or a nice game night. This is how the mechanics will go on. We'll try actually to get to the next special square that we have, which are our shortcuts, and the shortcuts are numbered they're in little yellow hexagons, and if you hit the first number, let's say number 2, and gives you a shortcut to jump straight ahead to the next number 2. Now, while there are shortcuts and allows you to jump, it's strategic also. If you jump, you're actually jumping over a red star, so you may actually skip an opportunity to get a red card. If you decide to skip and you want to go far ahead and you want to be ahead of the game and go faster to the end, you can just use the jump. Obviously, if you go on the jump and you do not want to jump, you're just going to continue down the game through the squares as you roll dice. So this will be the specifics for the jumps. If you are playing also multiple runs, the finish, the winner will be getting to the finish. This is going to be the person, whoever gets to the finish with the most points out of all the runs. Versus if you do a single run, it's whoever finishes first. Given that the length of the board is going to be much shorter when you do a single run, that's why whoever gets first to the finish will be obviously winning the game. And when you do multiple runs, whoever gets to the end will get also bonus points, which will be additional 5 points towards the end result. And also, if you have any cards left over from the game, all these cards are counted as points as well if they're kept unused and you manage to dodge all the challenges through the game and manage to go ahead of all the players as well. Now it's gonna be the blue's turn. If we go back into the game, we're gonna roll the dice, and we have 4, you can see, and then we have number 1. Let's say we're gonna decide to go with 4, obviously, because you're gonna go ahead of the pink. So you're gonna go 1, 2, 3, and 4. And at this point, we're gonna decide also to place strategically one of our seaweeds over here, and this becomes trap for the next players that are coming behind us. Now it's the pink's turn, and we're gonna roll dice for the pink's turn. This is 1 and 1, so the pink has no choice. It's 1 move. Lucky didn't get into the seaweed, but next turn you never know, you might get into the seaweed. It's the blue's turn again. We're gonna go ahead and we get 3 and we get 4. Now 3 will take us straight to another red star, which is great. We'll have the chance to buy a red card at this point, or 4 is gonna take us much further ahead with another square. Let's say we want to go ahead and hit the red star, and right now we decide to buy a card, and we can pick a card from the stack. we can pick the top or any card that we'd like, and we can keep it for ourselves. For the purpose of the game, we're gonna take a sneak peek at the card, and in this one it says that the opponent will be set back with 10 squares if we decide to use it. Obviously the opponent will not know, our pink player will not know what kind of card we are holding. And have in mind this costs 7 points, so 7 points will be deducted from the score of the blue player, which the blue player currently has 10 points, so the blue is left with 3 points and going ahead. Now it's the pink player's turn. Let's see if the pink player is gonna hit that seaweed obstacle. If we go ahead, roll the dice, so we have 3 and then we have 2. Very lucky for the pink player, and we're gonna go with 3, 1, 2, 3, and we're advancing in the game. And if, let's say, there was another player behind the pink player, we can decide to place another seaweed obstacle and we can place it there, and so on and so forth. That's how the game works. Now we're gonna go a little bit more into explanation of the game for the game board. The game board is has over 160 squares, counting the circle one in one round if you go multiple rounds, or has 128 squares if you go in one shot. This is major improvement from the version 1.0, from the midterm version. The midterm version had only 64 squares. There was comments from different viewers of the video for the game, and the comments were taken positively and was definitely considered enlarging the board and the squares. So that's why they're currently doubled, as many, like twice as many as the first board. This is the reason why also the board looks in this way, because it allows us to fit a lot more squares throughout the board, giving a different shape. While into a circular shape was a lot harder to implement as a design. And if you take a look back into the older video, the first design, you're gonna notice as well that there was like multiple times going through the same path with different arrows, which was also commented as being confusing for the players. That's why this was eliminated, and now if you follow the path, you're obviously going in one direction, going around, coming back this way, and going to the final, to the arrival. Or you can choose to go around the pink squares, which are connecting and making into a circle. Then you can go, let's say, 3 times, and the 3rd time around you can hit the arrival. And as I said, you get the bonus 5 points if you get first at the arrival, but have in mind that still this doesn't mean that the rest of the players will not have more points than you, considering the count of their cards and how many times they've gone back and forth. This is the major story behind the improvement of the game, which was the Outrun Adventure in the Ocean 2.0. Now we can go, as I said, through the cards. We have the red cards. Again, we have a card that can set the opponent 10 squares back. Each card must be placed before your opponent rolls the dice, so it will not be open before they finish rolling the dice, but still will be placed on the board, so they know that you want to apply a card towards their turn. So this is setting the opponent back with 10 squares. This is the worst one, which forces your opponent to give up all the cards. This is maybe the most powerful card through the game. And then these are pretty much the cards. So we have multiple of those. There was a card that was eliminated out of the game because was also commented and was also reconsidered, take a shortcut. This was card that was required for you in order to be able to take a shortcut. Let's say if you get on number 2, you need to have this card in order to be able to take the shortcut. Now this card is eliminated out of the game because it was very controversial and was not allowing, was removing some of the excitement, let's say, out of the game. The black cards, which are the lowest, the cheapest cards, they cost 1 point. So your opponent will skip next turn. Your opponent will move one less squares, and then take another card. Keep this card to add one more square to your move. And these are the black cards. There are 3. And now we're gonna have the yellow cards. There are also 3 different kinds. You can now double the moves for your next turn. I forgot to mention the black cards are worth 1 point. The yellow cards are worth 4 points. Your opponent will surrender a yellow or black card of your choice. And this is something that will prevent your opponent from taking a shortcut if you have this card. So this is the 3rd kind of yellow card that we have as part of the game. And this is briefly and shortly explaining the mechanics and how the game works, some of the improvements, which I believe add a little more to the skills and the strategy for the game, allowing you to plan who is behind you, how you want to trap them with the seaweed, and also you always need to consider the power of your cards, applying them through the game. Please do not hesitate to ask me any questions, and I hope people will enjoy this board game when I have the chance to share it with more people and friends. That is it from me. Thank you for watching the video.